So we're just going to breathe through. It's a celebration of what you do. I think you did your 1,000th meal or something, or what was
a thousandth group of
group
volunteers.
Yeah. So I knew that July was specific. So,
well, I'll tell you, there's a couple of things going on. So we just celebrated our 1,000th group of volunteers, Evangelinos coming together to do good. It also, we're celebrating now in August, we're celebrating our 5th anniversary. So we started during COVID with 6 volunteers in a shuttered restaurant with 6 family members and a chef, making 150 meals a week. And we're blessed that we're now at about 5,000 meals a week. We've had over 21,000 volunteers come through in the last 12 months. And we're on track to do about 250,000 meals in the coming 12 months with 63 charity partners. And also we're about to embark on a world record. And this is to really honor our young leadership, our predominantly high school ambassadors. These are like the senior lead volunteers who just keep on coming back. So we're embarking on a world record, the most amount of fresh meals made by teenage volunteers in 2 hours. And we're doing that in a little bit as well. So those 3 activities, celebrating 1,000 groups of Angelinos doing mitzvahs, celebrating our 5th year anniversary, and celebrating our young volunteers, really encapsulates what we try to do at OBK. Is not just feed people, but provide young and old, people young and old, with an opportunity to get together and do good. And more importantly, to connect with one another. These days, everyone's connecting to their iPhones, their iPads, and they're using ChatGPT, and they're not connecting with humans. What we try to do is bring back that human connection. And this started coming out of COVID, right? Because we're all on their own. So that's why we started. It was really to bring people together, a chance to connect safely, to do good and feel good. And now it's become really a movement. And that's what inspires me, is seeing people connect, friendships formed. And even, recently we had a couple that got married who met at OBK. And I think that's a really, really big achievement.
Did you cater the wedding?
It's a great question. I wasn't invited to the wedding. Never mind to cater the wedding. No, we only found out about it after the fact, where during the Sheva Brachot that followed the wedding, I happened to be at a restaurant for a meeting. And this lovely couple came over to me and said, "You wouldn't remember me, but we met at this event and we got married, and this is our final day of Sheva Brachot." So that was cool.
That's great. Well, I have to say, I was happy to experience one of those 2-hour shifts. So that's what brought me here, and wanted to. It brought me back to a time that I was doing that kind of work with the community of feeding people that were in need of sustenance, which was when I was in New York City during the AIDS crisis. It was the 90s, so it wasn't the height of it, but services had already been established. And Gaza We Deliver, which was one of the first of its kind serving people with AIDS, was started in a similar story. It started in the basement of a youth hostel in Harlem, and ended up becoming, and where it still is, a massive building in Soho that
amazing. Yeah.
Now it's beyond just AIDS. It's women's health issues.
Yeah. I've met a number of people who have volunteered there specifically when they were in college in the city. So we're talking 20, 25, 30 years ago. So a couple of people have mentioned it to me. Interestingly, recently, the founder of OBK, the concept started in Australia about 20 years ago. And we started here about 5 years ago. I'm one of the directors of the one in Australia. We moved out here 13 years ago. So we started this during COVID. But the director of the founder in Australia, recently was in New York City and went to visit the beautiful organization that you're referring to, and was absolutely blown away by the mission, by the infrastructure, and by what they do. And there's a beautiful organization that was here, started about the same time, called Project Angel, Project Angel Foods, that does something very similar.
Yeah, I did a few events for them when I moved out here to Los Angeles, because I exec director at the time, so it was kind of, I just feel connected to your mission in that way because it was a big part of my life, and it's nice to see that it's still going on without the community that I'd already been involved with, but in
Right, right. Now, absolutely. And it's important to mention the difference between the complementary activities that we do versus some of the other organizations. What we do is we're opened up essentially to all ages. And we've got a beautiful facility. And the idea is where you've got your prep area, as we call it, where anyone from the ages of 5, we suggest 5 to, it used to be 95, and now we had a 99-year-old volunteer that came through. So it's really an opportunity for all ages, families even, to come together. And what we do is we segment it generally. So for example, Sunday mornings, we would do families. Monday morning, we do predominantly retirees. Wednesday night, we do 21 plus. It's more of a networking fun night. And then throughout the week, as you participated, there's many other groups, people commemorating a birthday, an anniversary, or just because. Then quite a few companies come through to do team building. But essentially, the idea is that there is no impediment to anyone coming to volunteer, irrespective of your capacity, your background. It doesn't make a difference. You're welcome to volunteer and to participate in the joy of volunteering. And then on the flip side to that is there's absolutely no requirement aside for being a 501c3 to receive our meals. So what we do is we partner with other organizations. As I mentioned, the only criteria being that you're a 501c3. So we partner with other charities who have their ear to the ground. They know exactly how. It's an art to be able to distribute meals to individuals. So what we do, we prepare the meals, these beautiful meals, and then partner with now 63 charities who then distribute these meals to Angelinos in need. So the thought process there is we specialize in bringing the volunteers together to prepare those beautiful meals, and the organizations specialize in getting it to the people that need it most. So an example would be Food on Foot. A beautiful organization serves those homeless folks in Hollywood. Another example is People Concern looks after the homeless folks in Skid Row. And then we have other organizations such as Stand By Me looking after people going through cancer treatment, and Ronald McDonald House was added recently looking after families with a child going through illness, and many organizations in between. So Food on Foot's an example. They will pick up the meals midday on Sunday. The meals are fresh, produced between 10 and 12, for example. On a Sunday, we'll produce 600 to 900 of our famous meatballs with fresh vegetables, with pasta, with sauce. So it's something that can be eaten at room temperature, and it's got all the calories that they need. And it's literally, as soon as it's finished, they will pick it up and distribute it out in Hollywood. Now, they told us recently that as a result of us providing them those meals, they can house another 10 people for a year. They can take 10 people off the street, provide housing, because they don't have to spend that money on food. We provide the meals. They can then take people off the street. How cool is that? So that's really an ecosystem of kindness. Full circle here where the volunteers, not only are they help to feed people, but literally they're helping to house people as well.
Incredible. And the food is delicious, by the way.
Yeah.
Able to taste a little something, but yeah, it just reminded me of the camaraderie that we used to have at the Kitchen and God's Love, which ultimately became the place to be seen for the fashion industry, because it was the 90s, which was, the mecca of the fashion industry and the supermodels, and when Martha Stewart came through, everybody almost fainted, because that's like the high five of, the priestess of, food, right? But so what milestone are you celebrating?
So let's talk about the 1,000. So, we started with 6 volunteers, and now we are 5 years in, and we celebrated our 1,000th group. But interestingly, 900 of those 1,000 groups happened since June 2022. We were working out of a shuttered restaurant over on North La Brea Avenue. And it was quite a small space. So we were limited by how many people we could bring into that space, and also limited with access and other things. We were very, very fortunate to have partnered with the Feder family. So the organization is called Margaret Feder Our Big Kitchen. And now Margaret was a survivor of Auschwitz who worked in the kitchen in Auschwitz for 16 hours a day as a teenager and survived by smuggling out food scraps, vegetable scraps. I'm told she smuggled it out under her skirt. And that's how she survived, and some family members survived along with her. Now, she moved to Israel, got married in Israel, and then moved to South America, and then moved around a couple other places, and then settled in Beverly Hills. And her husband, Paul, built a beautiful family and a very successful business, and were really pillars of the community. Now, Margaret was not only a phenomenal hostess, but she was extremely passionate about education, food insecurity, and feeding not just the Jewish community, but all communities, and looking after all communities. And interestingly, her motto in life was "Life is beautiful." And that's really important because she didn't dwell on the suffering and on the pain. She focused on the future. And she passed away in 2019, and her family were looking for something to be able to perpetuate her memory, and which was really consistent with her ethos and mission. And we're fortunate that they enabled us to move into this beautiful space. And since then, it took off to another level. It's as you know, it's a beautiful, beautiful, welcoming space. And part of our mission is to be able to welcome people and give them that joy and dignity in a beautiful space to volunteer. So, volunteering doesn't have to be a drag, or doesn't have to be daggy. It could be done with grace and in a beautiful space. And then you made mention to, the home style feel and look of the meals, how beautiful they looked and tasted and smelled. That's a really big part of it, because the recipients, they're eating fast food, they're eating canned food, they're eating repurposed food. For almost all of them, this is their only source of healthy nutrition. And the meals are highly nutritious, nothing's fried, everything is very well thought out. But the idea is for it to be restaurant quality, but home style. Almost it's described like a warm hug from the community, from people that you'll never meet, but they're essentially giving you a warm hug when you're being presented with, almost 500 calories of meatballs and pasta with fresh vegetables and tomato sauce. And, this is a full portion made with a lot of heart.
Your Burekas, I think, was there the night we were there, right?
Right. We got many recipe items. You would have made the potato beef Burekas. That's right.
Ish, I want one right now.
Yeah.
So 5 years is so you moved, so you were originally from Australia? Because
Correct. I originally from London, spent a couple of years in New York, then lived in Australia for 16 years. And I was one of the directors for quite a few years, and I'm actually still a director of the Our Big Kitchen in Australia, but moved out here for work. I was previously in the mining gemstones, and we had a number of jewelry brands. And how OBK came to be here. And it's interesting because I only pulled out some pictures and videos from the archives in honor of our upcoming 50-year celebration. To me, it still doesn't make sense why we called it Our Big Kitchen here, because it started with delivering snack boxes to first responders and others who were on the front lines during COVID. My son, when he was at SMC, when he was in college, had a snack business called AP Munch. And it was the latest and greatest in snacks that were going into Trader Joe's and other places. So before he got to there, somehow he managed to get hold of it. And he had a subscription company where he would send people this each month. There was a trade show in San Francisco that was canceled because of COVID. And our garage, he was running it out of our garage. Our garage was full with boxes of these snacks. If you know these Love Corn and these other, all these other brands that are now very popular, this was those early days, 5.5 years ago. So what we started to do was, as a family, was pack these boxes and take them around to our local hospital, Kaiser, Cedar Sinai, police stations. And then we started to get some volunteers together to take them further up to Malibu and elsewhere, downtown. And then he called some of his suppliers and said, "This is what you're doing." And was an 18-wheeler that was you know, coming across, bringing us all of these boxes. So we built out this whole volunteer network, sending these boxes. But what did we do? We just took the sticker, because I'm involved in the one in Australia. We slapped the sticker on called Our Big Kitchen. So in August, when we had the opportunity, my brother-in-law had a restaurant that was shut during COVID. My son got married in August 2020. And for his Sheva Brachot, we celebrated by bringing some volunteers, family members together to do a mitzvah, to make 150 meals. We did this at my brother-in-law's restaurant. We did it once. Kind of cool. Okay, great. We did it again, and we gave the meals to Tomchei Shabbos, a beautiful organization that helps people with food hampers for Shabbat. And someone posted something on Instagram. We got a lot of inquiries, and I guess the rest is history.
Good. That's a good history to have. I mean, helping others, you know, with food is like such a primal kind of, you know, you just know you're doing God's work, and that's part of trying, you know, that's why that organization in New York was God's Love We Deliver.
Exactly.
Ganga Stone, who was the one who started God's Love, just kind of felt like that's what we were doing, you know.
Yeah, no, 100%. And everyone deserves to have a beautiful, fresh, delicious meal. No one should be going hungry. I mean, we're living in a prosperous society. Yes, there's problems, but you know, no one should be going to sleep without a meal. And I think for me personally, my driver, it's important to feed people that a robot can be making these meals. What drives me, honestly, is when I see people connecting, doing good together. And you know, the way they walk into the door is different to the way they walk out after they've given of themselves for 90 minutes and 2 hours. The impact it makes on the volunteers, on the people that give, is just so incredible. And that inspires me to do more and to build out. And we've now got 18 locations around the US that have opened up, mirrored on and inspired by Our Big Kitchen.
Really? Is it like branded OBK?
It's most of them are called giving kitchens. So for example, we just had a Zoom last night with many of the members. It's in Las Vegas. It's called Friendship Kitchen. In Pittsburgh, it was the one that started right after we started a number of years ago. It's called Giving Kitchen Pittsburgh, PGH. In San Diego, San Francisco, we've got Kendall in Miami, we've got an affiliate in Hollywood, we've got Nashville, we've got Atlanta, we've got Dallas, we've got Houston, Chelsea, and Manhattan.
Is that where they're established and you just have a new connection?
So I'd like to describe it as affiliates, like a non-financial franchise model where we help them start. We give them all the information. They come out here. We provide the time. We provide the resources. We show them how it's done.
For themselves.
And they fund it independently, correct. We provide them call it the inspiration, the time, and the know-how, and the ongoing support. They have now a community.
Is it like a toolkit that they get? And
yeah, something like that, correct. As I mentioned, it's a non-financial franchise. If you're not paying, you can't expect a very comprehensive toolkit. But yes, we do share recipes, share know-how. I have, for example, yesterday, different ideas that came up was a babka bake. In addition to the cookies and the challah, babka is a big thing. OBK for tots. We do ages 5 and up. What about providing opportunities for ages 2 to 5? Senior wellness. A big thing here is providing infrastructure and an opportunity for retirees to come together and do more, which we do, but we're just building that out. Something called an angel delivery circuit. So for example, we have a meeting in 26 minutes with a group potentially to partner with, where some of our volunteers, specifically the retirees, can partner with that organization to actually deliver the meal and almost befriend some of the seniors that are receiving those meals who are dealing with chronic health issues. So this is another way where we can help bridge that gap and help other organizations in the work that they're doing.
Right. No, that's really good. I mean, I'm going to Israel in October to be part of the American delegation of the World Zionist Congress. And I know that they fund a lot of stuff. And I am curious as to, are these the kind of organizations that I could put forward to kind of, because I just know there's an obligation.
We definitely can have a conversation, and again, open to all partnerships. At the end of the day, we've learned something really, really important. And apologies if I'm going off on a tangent here, but I hope this is all interesting. We learned coming out of the wildfires something very, very important, and that is the power of focusing on what we know best and the specialization of what we're doing, but also the power in collaboration, working with other organizations that are specialists in delivery. So for example, the morning of the fires. So within 3 minutes, we sent out an email, I think it was around 9 o'clock. By 9:03, we had 400 volunteers that had signed up to volunteer and prepare meals for those affected. And within an hour, there were over 1,000 volunteers on a wait list. So what we did was essentially buckle down and triple what we do all day, every day, which is bring volunteers together to prepare meals that are then distributed to other charities. So we brought more volunteers together, prepared more meals, and partnered with more charities. But what we also did was partner with a beautiful group called Maganam and a number of other organizations who they have the volunteer network to drive the meals out to the areas that need it. So we were able to send meals to Pasadena, to Altadena, to numerous Red Cross evacuation centers that we were approved to provide meals because we're kosher. So we were able to provide meals to not only people that observe kosher, but also to others that had dietary restrictions. So we were able to send to people that were homebound, living in hotels and motels over at Topanga, all areas, through that network. So that taught us a lot about the collaborations that we can have and the importance of partnerships.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, what you're doing the day I met you is I wanted to just kind of give you, a platform to
Thank you.
what you're doing. I also think you should seriously consider that event that we did for God's Love, that I don't know if they're still doing it, but you just have somebody organized with a bunch of restaurants that you send all your volunteers, they go with their own people to dinner somewhere, and you just make a deal with the restaurant that they promote it. It's a very organic, without having to schlep people to like one location on a specific time. So it's over a whole course of the day. But that is a good way, because what you've done is the miracle of community in a time when communities are so fractured, right? And it's nice, yes, that they're volunteering, whether they get married or not as a result of that. But it would be nice. I'm sure they would love to have like a dinner gathering and that be part of
An
it.
opportunity. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'll certainly look that up. See, Abe, you remind me of something very important, which is the 4 pillars that drives OBK, which is meals, love, unity, community. And let's go back to the community part of it. A critical value, one of the quadrants and cornerstones, is the importance of creating that sense of community and those friendships. And then the other one is unity. And we always say it doesn't make a difference what car you drive, or if you drive a scooter like myself most days. What zip code you live in, what your net worth is, what your position in the company, everyone's welcome to volunteer and everyone's welcome to receive a meal. And OBK is one of those places where it doesn't make a difference who you voted for, but who you wanted to vote for. Inside the 4 walls of OBK, you leave everything behind. Inside, nothing matters. The only thing that does matter is the next thing, which is love, that you put your heart and soul into the activity and do what you do with full intent. And when you do that, I just see it over and over again, the transformation that is there in the faces, the eyes, and the spirit of the volunteer. They are different people from when they walked in to when they walk out. It's not anecdotal, it's factual that volunteering, especially with a community spirit and with a full heart, is good for your well-being.
I mean, there's no question. I mean, yeah. And you give people an opportunity to forget who they are for a minute and just chop vegetables. The art of chopping a vegetable is very meditative. It's very spiritual. It's very internal. And yeah, you're connecting and kibitzing around, but you still have to cut the vegetable and not your.
Yeah. Yep. So actually, and someone today, someone today, because I try to greet everyone when I'm there and welcome them and ask them how they heard about us. And someone today says to me, "You're a young man." I said to him, "Is your first time here?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "How did you hear about us?" He said, "My therapist told me about OBK, suggested I come in." So I asked him, Quante, on the way out, I said, "How you feeling?" He said, "Great, I'll be back."
Yeah.
So that was one part. And then during the fire, we actually had a number of people and people that were still involved that came for the first time to OBK during the fires. They had lost their homes. They were living in motels and hotels. And they told me that they came to OBK to forget about their drama with their insurance companies and everything else. These are people who had lost everything. They came to forget and to give and to be able to do this.
I mean, look, you've obviously been able to connect with a huge group of people to kind of volunteer, right? You can't, you can't make people understand the value of being the best of themselves, which is what you do when you're out there volunteering, whether it's in a kitchen or you're bringing people, clothes because of the fires, that activated a lot of people. In my area, there were so many warehouses that cropped up with people volunteering down the line and civic drive. It was really incredible to see it. And you forget because we're in such a dated place. Of what you first said when we first started talking was how everyone's in their social media, in this space, and in their kind of universe of bullshit, right? So you're not going to change everybody, but the ones that have an opportunity to make themselves a better person, which volunteering in general does provide.
But Abe, I would add that we're living in a messed up society. The reality is there's a lot of stuff going on, particularly right here in LA. There's a lot of strife, there's a lot of anxiety, and there's a lot of division. I can tell you this, I'm blessed to see the best in Angelenos. I'm blessed that every week I see 10 to 15 groups of Angelenos who come in with a smile and a full heart and give of themselves. I'm blessed to have seen 21,000 plus members of our community from all walks of life, all shapes and sizes and backgrounds, coming together here and doing good for others. It's a phenomenal thing to see and to feel, and that gives me that inspiration to continue doing what we're doing and to grow what we're doing, because I see what a beautiful, beautiful group of people come in, and that, this is kind of cool. We've got this many people that we have so far been in contact with, but I'm sure there are more out there.
Oh yeah, you're only 5 years old, so right. Well, anyway, I'm be happier for what you're doing, to be able to share this with my community, and I will have in the show notes, I will have how you can donate, how you can volunteer, the information, how you can meet Yossi, who is a fine, upstanding gentleman.
Oh, thank you. Abe, I hope I've given you enough information in our conversation to be able to put something together.
No, it's a very menschy thing that you're doing, and the world cannot have enough mensches at this particular juncture, in my opinion. It's what we're lacking, but then there's channels that they can find themselves back to a better place.
Correct. And come visit us again.
Having a great
Thank you. Thank you for having me. All the best.